No watches available, who you know, get on the waiting list, all that rigmarole.
The great Rolex hype is officially on the decline.
In early 2022, a mass-produced stainless steel watch was selling for $50,000. Less than a year later, it lost more than half of its value, bankrupting dealers and destroying fortunes overnight. This wasn't a stock or a crypto coin, it was the Rolex Daytona. Today we're breaking down how the hype bubble formed, why it burst so violently, and the brutal human cost for those who got wiped out. If you appreciate the real story behind luxury, not just the marketing hype, do us a favor. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. The great Rolex bubble was the result of a perfect storm. It started with Rolex's iron grip on the market. They produce exactly one less watch each year than there is demand for. Then the pandemic hit. Governments flooded the world with stimulus money, and affluent buyers stuck at home with nothing to spend on started looking for places to park their cash. Simultaneously, social media platforms like Instagram and Reddit turned watch collecting from a niche hobby into a mainstream speculative frenzy. A new generation of buyers, flush with cash from stock and crypto gains, stormed the market. The Rolex Daytona was no longer just a watch. It became a hype-fueled asset, and the stage was set for a spectacular collapse. By March of 2022, the market was completely unhinged. The steel Daytona with the white Panda dial, which had a retail price of around $15,100, was trading on the secondary market for an incredible $50,000. That's a premium of over 200%. The craze was so intense that Rolex's overall share of the secondary market swelled from 33% to nearly 44%. The Daytona wasn't just leading the market, it was the market. This was a classic speculative mania, just like the Dutch tulip bubble in the 1600s. A narrative of extreme manufactured scarcity convinced thousands of people that prices had nowhere to go but up. Online forums were consumed by a powerful fear of missing out, or FOMO. The common belief was that you had to buy immediately at any price, or risk being priced out forever. This created a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the belief that prices would rise forever drove the very behavior that made it a reality for a short time. Everyone was looking for the greater fool willing to pay an even higher price. Of course, every bubble bursts. The pinprick came in mid-2022. Faced with soaring inflation, central banks, led by the US Federal Reserve, began aggressively hiking interest rates. The era of easy money was over. At the same time, the crypto market collapsed, wiping out hundreds of billions in wealth, much of it held by the very same people who had been pouring money into watches. The crash was immediate and brutal. From its peak of nearly $54,000, the average price of a Daytona plummeted 51% to just over $27,000 by January 2023. In less than a year, half of its speculative value was gone. The speculators vanished, and a new type of seller emerged, the panic seller. Over-leveraged dealers and flippers who bought at the top were now desperate to sell their rapidly depreciating watches. This flood of supply hit a market where demand had disappeared, and the average time it took to sell a steel Rolex increased by 3 to 4 times. The very system that fed the hype now accelerated the crash. Behind these numbers are stories of real financial devastation. The first casualty was the crypto speculator. This was the guy who made a fortune on crypto and wanted to diversify into a hard asset. He bought a steel Daytona for nearly $50,000, thinking it was a blue chip investment. When both the crypto and watch markets crashed at the same time, his net worth was decimated. The safe haven he sought was just as volatile as the digital tokens he was hedging against. Then there was the over-leveraged grey dealer. These were the new players who jumped into the market during the gold rush, often using business loans to buy inventory. Their entire model was based on prices going up forever. When the market turned, they were caught holding millions in watches that were worth less than their loans. They were forced to dump their stock at huge losses just to make their debt payments, and many went bankrupt. They were, as one user put it, left holding the bag. But perhaps the most tragic story is that of the FOMO collector. This was a genuine enthusiast who dreamed of owning a Daytona for years. After watching prices climb to insane levels, he finally gave in to the fear that it was his last chance. He stretched his finances, maybe took out a loan and bought his Grail watch for $45,000. Just a few months later, the market crashed. His dream watch was now a constant, tangible reminder of a $20,000 financial mistake, turning an object of passion into a source of regret. By 2025, the dust has settled. The market has stabilized into a new, more sober reality. That same steel Daytona that peaked at $50,000 and bottomed out below $30,000 now trades for a relatively stable $37,000. While that's still a 131% premium over retail, the most irrational hype is gone. In a direct response to the chaos, Rolex expanded its certified pre-owned program, a strategic move to bring the secondary market under its control, stabilize pricing, and capture revenue it was losing to independent dealers. As always, this information is for entertainment, not financial advice. The Great Daytona crash taught the market a few painful but necessary lessons. First, a luxury good is not a liquid asset, and chasing hype is a dangerous game. Second, the fear of missing out is a powerful force that can lead to disastrous financial decisions. And finally, even for Rolex, a business model built on artificial scarcity is vulnerable when the tide of easy money recedes. Now, a question for you. If you were offered a new steel Daytona from an authorized dealer at its retail price today, would you keep it and wear it, or would you sell it immediately for a profit? Tell me your decision and your reasoning in the comments below.